Hello, and thank you for making the Integrity Sports Podcast a part of your weekly routine. Our show is brought to you each week by our friends at Harper's Tree and Stump Removal. If you have any tree trimming, tree removal, or stump removal needs, Harper's Tree and Stump Removal has you covered. They can also haul rock and sand. They do driveway work and can now do horizontal grindings of large wood debris piles. And for the next 14 days, if you will mention you heard this on our show, Harper's Tree and Stump Removal will give you an additional 10% off of your quoted price. Give Keith a call at 229-314-2048 or at 229-938-2412. Harper's Tree and Stump Removal is the proud premier sponsor of the Integrity Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the Integrity Sports Podcast, covering local sports in the Southwest Georgia area, creating content that is factual, positive, and informative, promoting efforts by athletes, coaches, and sports administrators. Now, here's your host, Tim Estes.
Welcome into this episode of the Integrity Sports Podcast. Our program is available each week on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, X, and several other social media and podcast platforms. Remember to like and share this video with your friends. And if you're watching on any platform today, do us a favor and go over to our YouTube channel. We're trying to build our YouTube presence and need to get to the 1,000 subscriber mark. Just look up Integrity Sports Podcast on YouTube and hit the subscribe button. We've got a great show for you today. As our guest is Marty McDonald. Marty owns the Marty McDonald State Farm Insurance Agency. He's been one of our sponsors on this show since day one. Marty, man, I'm glad to have you with us. Thanks for joining me.
It's glad to be here, Tim. Thanks for all you do and giving us positive sports and sports stories. And just thank you for this opportunity.
Marty, here's why I thought it would be really neat to have you on. You know, when we started this show, we wanted to be positive. We wanted to highlight positive things on all of our local area schools and not focus just on one. And when I got to thinking about Marty McDonald, you know, you and I have been friends a long time. We've known each other since we were teenagers. And as adults, I look at Marty and I go, okay, I've seen Marty at games at America's High and now Sumter County High. I know your wife coached over at Southland and your kids played there, so you supported Southland and still do that. I've seen you at Sly County games, at South Georgia Tech games, and of course, you're always a regular over at Georgia Southwestern. So you're really a guy that supports all of our local area teams. And I thought it'd be interesting to hear what kind of motivates you to be a fan of all of these teams.
Well, you know, Paul and I both played at Georgia Southwestern as well, and Paula coached there. And, you know, we just love the competition, love to see kids compete. I guess as former coaches, we know how much time and effort they put in preparing for those few moments they get to play in front of fans. And we just like to support them. And it's just a lot of fun, and it's a great activity, and we should all support them.
Marty, I noticed a couple of years ago, I guess it was, on your social media pages during football season, you kind of came up with this advertising thing where you'd give a player of the game or maybe multiple players of the game, and they would get a Marty McDonald State Farm t-shirt with their school logo on it. And man, that seemed to be a huge hit. I know in my time over at Sly County as their radio voice, several times I would hear guys making comments like around the locker room or prior to the game, I'm going to be the Marty McDonald State Farm player of the game. So tell me a little bit about how that came about and kind of what you've got in mind for the future. I know it started with football, but just in conversations I've had with you over the last few weeks, I know you'd like to do that in multiple sports.
Yep. You know, when we were growing up, the Times Recorder was daily. They covered all the sports every day and had stories, had the even had the statistics for Little League Baseball in them. And, you know, I just got to thinking they don't have that much anymore. What can we do to kind of highlight the young athletes? And so we came up with the Athlete of the Week, Americus or Sumter County High School, and Sly wanted to participate. And then I've had the shooting team at Southern participate, the tennis team, and a few other sports. But, we just want to recognize those kids. And most of the information now goes out on Facebook, X, or Instagram. So we just thought it'd be a good way to get a picture in the locker room or get a picture with the kids, post it so their family and friends can see what they're doing and how well they're doing. And, we really want to do it for any sport and all the sports at the local schools. So if any coach or parent wants us to participate or help them to promote their athletes, all they got to do is give me a call. We'll bring them a shirt, get a picture, and get them posted, and let all their family and friends know how well they're doing.
We're talking with Marty McDonald from the Marty McDonald State Farm Insurance Agency. He is one of our sponsors, and all of our shows are brought to you by multiple sponsors each week. One of those is Carter's Fried Chicken. They're located at 206 Tripp Street here in Americus. They offer breakfast, lunch, and supper. Owner Mike Shaddles and his staff support all of our local area teams, and they've been feeding Southwest Georgia for more than 30 years. They offer daily lunch specials that include chicken, pork chops, and fresh vegetables, and they do it all at an affordable price. Carter's Fried Chicken, they're proud to be a 2025 sponsor of the Integrity Sports Podcast. Marty, you had two sons that are both now adults. They grew up here. I know they were involved in youth sports in my programs at the Parks and Rec Department.
Yep.
Those guys played high school sports, and I think Jeffrey even went on to play some college baseball.
Yep.
I'd like for you to talk to us about what it was like for you to go through that period of life where your boys were growing up and being involved in sports.
I guess they didn't have a choice but to participate in sports. Their mom and I were so involved. And a funny story, I think Andrew was about 9 years old, and it came time to sign up for recreation baseball. And I said, all right, we got to go down to the rec department and sign up. And Andrew looked at me and said, Dad, do I have to play? I said, no, you certainly don't have to play. And of course, I love baseball so much. That's kind of was a dagger at the time, but we laughed about it. And, he found love and passion in swimming and tennis and basketball and participated in those. And of course, Jeffrey played a lot of baseball, ran cross country, ran track, and played basketball as well. And, I kind of stepped back from coaching during those times once they got into high school, and just kind of enjoyed the time watching them get better and practice and play, and kind of looked at it as a fan. And it was a lot of fun doing that. And, now I've got my first grandson. It's a year old. And so hopefully I'll be around to see him participate in some of those activities.
Marty, you were a big part of getting youth baseball revamped here in this community back during, I guess it was the early 80s, maybe the mid 80s, sometime in there. But I can remember Kiwanis was a really big sponsor back there to help you get it going. I know you've spent many years as a coach, both at the youth level and above, and I'd love to hear about some of your experiences as a coach and maybe some advice that you would have to parents or adults that may be watching today. And why is it important to be a volunteer coach?
Sure. Well, I guess it was about 1983. I was a student at Georgia Southwestern, and Mike Bird was the recreation director. And, he was trying to build baseball. And so he says, hey, how about coaching this 15 and under team? And so that was the very first team I coached. Had a lot of fun. We were sponsored by Shiver Lumber Company at the time. And it's funny to watch those guys grow up. But that was the first team. And a couple of years later, Mike suggested that we move the Little League baseball from the 3-day a morning week program in the summertime to a volunteer coach program. So where the Sumter County field house is now, we built a baseball field, started that program. And of course, Alan Smith was a coach, and Mike Denham and Jimmy Skipper and Ken Oxford and so many more to make that program kind of get off the ground. And it was a really big success, and just grew and grew and grew. And of course, now they've got the nice facilities out on 19. And, I think back, what kind of just made me love coaching was my first experience as a youth in Monticello, Georgia. We had some coaches that were so dedicated, Ted Sauls, Mr. Voles, Mr. McMichael, and my dad. And, they just made baseball fun. And they made coming to practice fun, made games fun. And I just had a passion and a love for the game. And, it started right there. And I look back at the time they spent putting in my life. And I said, you know what, I can do that. And hopefully some other kids will find the love of baseball or any other sport through that. And, the time those volunteer coaches spend with your children or with their children, it's fantastic time of you both learn fellowship. You meet a lot of people. You meet a lot of new parents. You learn competition. You learn all kind of things about life through youth sports.
Absolutely. Marty, every week when I have a guest on, I try to send them some topics that we're going to discuss so you can kind of prepare. And it seems like every week I get on here and something kind of pops in my head. I think this would be a good discussion. So I hope it doesn't throw you off too much.
Okay.
But there is a void right now in not just youth sports, but high school sports as well in officiating.
Yeah.
Many people have gotten out of officiating. Mainly what we're hearing is because of the way not just coaches, but the fans are so rabid now and just nasty mean sometimes.
Yeah.
You've been around youth sports and high school sports a lot. What kind of advice could you give to these adults about the demeanor they need to have around the ball field and why that's important?
I have noticed that, and I've officiated a little bit. And my mom, bless her heart, later in life, she said, the one regret I have in life is I was so mean to those officials, and I shouldn't have been. And we laughed about it. But, we're out there for enjoyment and fellowship and trying to learn, competition and fair play and all those things. And we need to encourage our kids and teach them the proper way to respect adults and others in life. And I think, getting on officials we think it's a funny thing at the time, but it's not setting a very good example. And it's really making it hard for us. I know you as a rec director to find officials. I know high schools and, it's hard for them to find officials because they just don't want to put up with the mess they have to hear all the time. So, be a fan, cheer on your kids, cheer for the other kids, be positive, and let's stay off the officials.
Absolutely. Marty, you invited me to do something a few weeks ago at your church where I came and spoke to one of your men's group. As I got ready to develop this show a couple of years ago, the reason it's called Integrity Sports Podcast is I just got to thinking we've got some really good people, men and women in our area that are influencing our kids and coaches and athletic administrators. And I certainly put you in one of those groups. I'd like for you to talk a little bit about how faith plays a part in your everyday life.
My grandparents were very instrumental in my growth as a Christian, as a young boy. And it's just so important to find that faith and that there's something out there bigger than us. And that purpose that we were given gifts, and we need to use those gifts to help other people, our fellow men. And, our church, they pray for me daily. My wife prays for me daily. And, I know that and I feel that. And they give me strength to do the things I need to do. And, we need to find that faith in all that we do and make that the most important thing. Even in sports, it should be the most important thing.
Our final sponsor today is none other than Marty McDonald from the Marty McDonald Insurance Agency. He's located at 925 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard here in Americus. drop by and see Marty, Mary Lynn, or any of their fine staff. Let them discuss your insurance needs with you. Marty's phone number is 928-3686. They're also available on Facebook. They can even do the discount double check to make sure you're receiving all of the savings that are available to you. Certainly, thanks again to Marty McDonald for sponsoring the Integrity Sports Podcast. And always remember, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. I want to talk a little about Paula.
Okay.
And maybe some others that can't come to mind, Marty. But one of the neat things we've done since day one of this program is as we get near the end of the podcast, we talk about people that are instrumental behind the scenes to our guests, that encourage them and lift them up. Right. I know you're not in as much of a grind as you were when you were coaching, but every day you're a business owner and there's got to be days that are tough. Who are those folks for Marty McDonald that keep you lifted up and encouraged?
Well, growing up, I watched my parents work so hard every day to make things great for us. So that's probably where most of my motivation or encouragement comes from, is seeing what my parents did. And then, of course, Paula, she's my biggest supporter and encourager. She tells me every day to just go out and do a good job and thanks me for everything we do. And, she's a great supporter. I mentioned earlier my church. They are, watching how they work in the community and help the fellow man. That's always an encouragement and encourages me to do the things I can do, because, God has blessed me greatly. I'm a blessed man, got a lot of friends that encourage me. It's, I think, my duty and my obligation to God to help bless other people with what I've been given.
Absolutely, Marty. Marty, you mentioned earlier you're now a granddad.
Yep.
And like you, I have discovered that over the last 3 years being a grandparent, it's one of God's greatest blessings. Talk to me a little bit about your grandson.
Well, Oliver, born February of last year. He is a blessing. He is a happy young man. And his parents had a baseball-themed first birthday party for him in February. I have a picture of him in his jersey in my office. We think about him daily. We want to see him daily. Don't get to, but we just look forward to watching him grow and experiencing all those things as a grandparent. And it is everything everyone said it is. So looking forward to watching Oliver grow, and Jeffrey and Shalonda are doing a fantastic job with him. And he's going to be a good kid.
Marty, many people that are watching our show today remember Jeffrey and Andrew growing up, just so they know what they're doing now and where everybody's at. Kind of tell us where Jeffrey and Andrew are at, not just geographically, but in their careers.
Sure. Jeffrey joined the Navy after a couple of years of college and just decided that wasn't for him at this point. Joined the Navy, rode around on submarines for a while. He's currently got land duty, a new father, and he's been in the Navy a little over 7 years. Lives in St. Mary's, Georgia, and just doing great. Andrew had a couple of jobs after he graduated from Georgia. He's currently living in Austin, Texas, does some interior design work. Loves Austin, loves his job, and they're doing great. Matter of fact, Paula's out visiting Andrew now, and it makes me proud to see that they're doing so well, and we're just very proud of them, her mother and I.
So you got one down in St. Mary's, one in Austin, Texas. Yeah. I imagine you'll go through several sets of tires and maybe even some airline miles over the next few
We have
years.
used a few airline miles and got a lot of miles on the cars and a lot more to come.
Marty, it's been a lot of fun to have you on today. We certainly appreciate what you do in our community. I appreciate what you've done to help us get this show started and to keep it on the airwaves, and it just continues to grow. But you're always such a supporter of all the athletic programs here in Sumter County. But thanks again for joining me.
Tim, thank you so much. And, today is opening day for baseball season, the real opening day. So I want to shout out to the Orioles and the Braves. I'm pulling for a Braves-Orioles World Series. And anyway, looking forward to watching some baseball this afternoon. And thank you for everything you do, Tim.
That's right, Marty. I'm glad you mentioned that. I forgot about today being opening day. Hey, we want to thank you for making the Integrity Sports Podcast a part of your weekly routine. Thanks again to all of our sponsors, Harper's Tree and Stump Removal, Carter's Fried Chicken, and the Marty McDonald State Farm Insurance Agency. Please remember to like and share this video. Hope you'll join us again next week. For my friend, Marty McDonald, I'm Tim Estes. Thanks for watching. So long.